Washington, here is the news in VOA Special English. President Barack Obama has held his first news conference since winning re-election last week. Speaking to reporters Wednesday, he said his most urgent goal is the economy and balancing the budget. When asked about helping arm Syrian rebels, he said he would guard against putting weapons in the hands of people who might do harm to Americans. Mr. Obama said the United States wants a democratic Syria that would respect human rights. President Obama said he is encouraged to see that the Syrian opposition has created an inclusive group. On Iran, the president said he would continue to push for a diplomatic answer to the issue of Iranian nuclear efforts. Chiefs of some of the best-known American corporations met Wednesday with President Obama. The president is seeking their support in resolving key government tax and spending issues before the end of the year. The United States is facing a crisis on January 1st. That day, $600 billion in spending cuts is to begin unless Congress and the President can agree to another plan to cut the deficit. Mr. Obama told reporters in Washington that he believes a deal can be reached. Mr. Obama is hoping that leaders of such well-known international companies as General Electric, American Express, Walmart stores, and others will support his call for a mix of spending cuts and tax increases for the wealthiest American families. The United States has refused to fully recognize a new Syrian opposition coalition. The new coalition replaces the Syrian National Council. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton urged the new group, called the Syrian National Coalition for Opposition and Revolutionary Forces, to honor its recent promises and start influencing events in Syria. Ms. Clinton spoke Wednesday in Australia. She also said that the United States would give an additional $30 million to provide food for people in Syria and for Syrian refugees in Turkey, Lebanon, Jordan, and Iraq. Also Wednesday, Japan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs said the fifth meeting of the Friends of Syria will be held on November 30th in Tokyo. Israel has killed the top commander of the Palestinian Islamist movement Hamas. Ahmed al-Jabari was head of armed forces for the group. Israeli news reports say an Israeli missile struck his car in Gaza City. His son was also killed. The attack was part of a wave of Israeli airstrikes on the Gaza Strip and Hamas. Palestinians say the Israeli attacks killed at least 10 people. Palestinians continued shelling Israeli territory after the missile strike. Israel's missile defense system shot down 13 rockets fired from Gaza. Hamas has promised to answer the Israeli attack on its leader. You are listening to the news in VOA Special English. Workers in Athens, Madrid, Lisbon, Rome, and other European cities are protesting deep cuts in popular social programs, retirement pay, and other programs. The financial reforms are aimed at meeting the spending limits set by the 17-nation Euro money group. The spending cuts and a poor economy in the Eurozone have resulted in record unemployment. The protests Wednesday are not likely to change the methods European leaders have chosen to end the debt crisis. Russian President Vladimir Putin has signed a new law expanding the definition of treason. Critics say the law gives the government the power to name anyone as a traitor. The law went into effect Wednesday. Mr. Putin had promised on Monday to study the law before it took effect. Rights groups, including Human Rights Watch, have expressed concern about possible misuse of the law. More than half of Afghan citizens questioned in a new opinion study say their country is moving in the right direction. About 2/3 say the national police and army cannot operate without the support of foreign troops. The Asia Foundation released its yearly opinion study on Wednesday. The group warned that the results may underreport negative feelings. It said the people in some areas were not questioned because of security concerns. Afghans said security, unemployment, and corruption are the biggest problems. On Wednesday, police said Taliban militants shot and killed 2 men who worked as language experts for NATO forces. Officials say militants left the bodies near their car in Logar province. Burmese opposition leader Aung San Suu Kyi is calling for India's support in helping Burma achieve democracy. She made the comments Wednesday during a visit to New Delhi. During a lecture in honor of former Indian Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru, Aung San Suu Kyi said Burma was still trying to achieve democracy. She said people in Burma hoped the people of India would support the democracy effort. India was one of Aung San Suu Kyi's strongest supporters in her fight against Burma's military rulers. But in the mid-1990s, India changed direction and began to work with the country's former military rulers. Spokesmen for a militant group in Mali are denying that the group has offered to stop enforcing Islamic law in parts of the country that it controls. 2 Ansar Dine representatives spoke with VOA after the French news agency reported that an African Union official had made such an announcement. One Ansar Dine representative from the city of Timbuktu said the report was false. Late Tuesday, the African Union announced it had approved a plan for military intervention to help oust the Islamist militants from northern Mali. The plan will now go to the United Nations Security Council for approval. Mali's temporary government had asked for help to force the militants out of the country's northern area.